Ford is on its way to phasing out the sedans and the hatchbacks from its lineup, leaving only trucks, SUVs, and the Ford Mustang because they can't get rid of that. So we need to get used to seeing a lot of these with the Ford emblems on the road, but we shouldn't be not used to seeing it because the Escape's been around for a long time. Since the year 2000, it was actually one of the first compact crossovers. Now we're in our 4th generation and we need to see if, well, if this is all we've got, SUVs and crossovers, are they any good? Now, first thing you might think about the new Escape is, wait, that's an Escape? And that's because every previous generation of this model has been angular and boxy and very SUV-ish, but this is European and so car-like, which makes sense if they're not going to make cars. I think it looks fairly handsome, if not remarkable in any particular way. The Ford grille that you're going to see on a lot of models is here, and we've got some unique shaped headlights. It all just kind of flows very nicely, but it's not a dramatic presence. It's not something you're going to stop and stare at on the road. As we go to the side, it kind of continues there. We've got 18-inch wheels on this SEL trim that look pretty good, kind of an intricate design. Look nice with this black paint. And the profile, fairly sleek, long hood, helps it with that more car-like physique. Then you wind up at the rear end, which is, in my opinion, the best look on the Escape. It's not overdone, it's all cohesive. I like these LED light signatures and the dual exhaust ports down here. It's just a nice finisher to the Escape's smooth exterior. You have a few different options in terms of how you want your 2020 Escape powered. At its base, you've got a 1.5 liter turbocharged 3-cylinder that makes 181 horsepower. Or if you want to upgrade to a 2.0 liter EcoBoost, as we have here, with 250 horsepower, 280 pound-feet of torque. That thing's downright quick. 0 to 60 is car and driver tested, 5.7 seconds. That is just generally fast. And then if you want fuel efficiency, there is a hybrid option. It's a 2.5 liter non-turbo 4-cylinder paired with electric motors, and that makes 200 horsepower. Or you can do a 209 horsepower plug-in hybrid that gets 30 miles of all-electric range. Thinking about fuel economy, that base 1.5 cylinder is going to get 30 combined in front-wheel drive form, 28 combined with all-wheel drive. This EcoBoost, as we have tested here with the all-wheel drive, gets 26 combined MPG. And if you want that hybrid, you'll get 44 city, 37 highway MPG. Ford took the same fussless approach as they did on the exterior in the interior of the new Escape, and it works. It's very clean, very conservative. There's not a whole lot to catch the eye. There's this soft brushed metal trim on the dashboard. And well, this is one departure here. We've got diamond-shaped dimples in each door card, which is a little odd, especially with the texture of the materials, which is, it's got some give to it, but there is a lot of what feels like cheap materials in this cabin. And at this one, as tested, $34,000, you may want a little more in terms of soft touch and premium. These seats, for example, are not real leather. You can get real leather seats in the Escape, but for $34,000, this is a leather-like seating surface. The front seats are heated, no ventilation, rear seats are not heated, and kind of just tacked onto the dashboard here is an 8-inch display with Ford's Sync 3 infotainment that's got really crisp graphics, and it's very easy to use. And Apple CarPlay and Android Auto are part of that, so you can just hook up your smartphone and use the interface. Physical volume knob, physical tuner, I appreciate that. And down below, physical climate control inputs and seat heating. USB-C port down there, USB port in here in this kind of large center cubby. And this is one thing I really do appreciate. I'm not always a fan of these alternative style gear selectors. A lot of the push button systems are not very intuitive, but this dial, it's fairly simple. Left park, right drive, and it's low profile, so you can put stuff in the center cubby and you're not constantly having to fight with a large mounted gear selector. So I do appreciate that. In front of the driver, as standard, is an analog tachometer and speedometer with a color TFT display. You can switch between multimedia information, your drive modes, smartphone, telemetry data, all that. Or you can go full digital instrument cluster with all sorts of graphics and neat business. Ford's Pilot 360 suite of active safety features is standard. That's a good little bundle to start, and you can add on certain things to that. This panoramic sunroof is a neat touch. It is optional, a $1,500 add-on, but it brings in a ton of light to a cabin that in this case is very dark, so that light is much needed. I've crawled behind my own driving position here at 6 feet tall, and I want to show you something. This rear bench slides forward so you could have more cargo capacity. And even in this position, because of these indents into the driver's seat, you can see here, I have place for my legs. It's not going to be super comfortable, but a child could sit back here no problem, and you could have more stuff in the back. Or if you get a full-size adult, you slide on back and you can really stretch out. Good headroom, good shoulder room, and definitely good leg room. And in the back, with those seats slid forward, we do have 37.5 cubic feet of space, which is sizable. I will note, this is a little odd. There's a bit of a hole there. With the seats slid back, you have a little less cargo, but still a good sizable space. And if you fold those seats down, you have a full 65 cubic feet of space. You know, the first thing I notice about this Escape is that I feel like the driving position is more car-like. I feel like I'm lower down as opposed to some crossovers where you're sitting up pretty high. Some people will like that. Some people will want the height so they can see around vehicles, but I don't feel like I'm so low that I can't see around things. But I do feel like I'm at a height where I'm engaged more with the vehicle, and that is a nice thing, especially when you've got a 2-liter EcoBoost that makes 250 horsepower. You kind of want to feel a little more engaged. The handling, well, it's not so plowy. There's not too much understeer. The wheels go exactly where you want them to go, very direct, but there's not a ton of feedback from the wheel. I feel like it's dead on center. It is still a compact crossover. Now, because it is a crossover, you can expect decent ride quality, and indeed, that's what I'm feeling from behind the wheel here. I'm gonna go for a set of bumps, and while I can feel them and hear them, my body is pretty well insulated from them, so it's not disturbing. There's a little bit of wind noise at speed, but not so much that it's disruptive. Yeah, pretty comfortable car that I'd love to commute in. And in terms of ease of use, got good visibility out of the front window and not a whole lot in terms of blind spot. A tiny one over at the C-pillar, but if you got the blind spot monitoring system, you don't have to worry about that, and rear cross traffic alerts and all the active safety features that some come as standard and all are available as options in this Escape. Now, complementing this robust engine, you hear that turbo? That's nice. Is a good set of brakes. It hauls the vehicle down really well. They shaved 200 pounds off this Escape compared to the last generation, and you can feel it. And the transmission is also really well suited. An 8-speed automatic unit that flips between the gears seamlessly. You don't really notice the shifts in each gear, which I appreciate, unless you want to shift them yourself with these pedals on the steering wheel. And when you do so, it's fairly responsive, which I appreciate. Well, now let's talk competition, because the compact crossover segment is fiercely competitive. If you want to talk the big players, we've got the RAV4, the Honda CR-V, this, and the Nissan Rogue. All of them start right around the $25,000 mark, although the RAV4 is about $900 more expensive than each of those vehicles that I mentioned. Fuel economy, the RAV4 does take the edge there. Horsepower, it's all around the 200 horsepower mark. Nissan Rogue bringing up the rear with 170 horsepower, and the Escape, now that you can get it with 250 horsepower, takes the lead there. Fuel economy, the hybrids around the 40 mpg mark, the non-hybrids in the high 20s, and the RAV4 once again leads the charge there with its standard 203 horsepower engine that gets about 31 combined mpg. So if we want to make this a numbers competition, the Escape is going to win in terms of horsepower, lose in terms of fuel economy, and do just fine in terms of starting price. It might actually be the lowest starting figure at just under $25,000 before destination. So it holds its own in this segment, certainly. And if you want to see a more detailed comparison with the Honda CR-V, look for that coming very soon. But I think the Escape, certainly this 4th generation, is doing a really good job. The styling is not dramatic, but it's conservatively handsome, very European, and the interior is very comfortable. I wouldn't mind having this as my daily driver, that's for sure. The powertrain, EcoBoost, that's fun. And if you want more power, this is gonna be your choice. I think the new Escape is a really good entrant into this fiercely competitive compact crossover segment. And if you want to learn more about the 2020 Ford Escape, including pricing information in your area, go ahead and click the link in the description below.